Okay, so let's take a look at this article. I'd never seen it before. Apparently, it was published some time ago. I think it was October of 2020. Guy considering making Dragon Ball Z his whole thing. So this is the type of article that somebody publishes or somebody shares, and then it gets picked up by other people in my social network, and it automatically gets sent to me. And like honestly, kind of embarrassing in that I feel like somebody wrote it because they saw me walking on the street one day a long time ago wearing a Dragon Ball Z t-shirt. But life is what it is. So as the first entry to the Super Dope reading series, let's do this. Fort Collins, Colorado. A local guy looking to mix things up has reportedly considered making Dragon Ball Z like his whole thing. Quote, I think Dragon Ball Z would be a great fit for me, said Colt Woodcock, whose previous whole things have included Android phones, marijuana, and disliking the films of Christopher Nolan. Quote, because there is a video game, cards, clothes, just all kinds of shit that I can really commit to being that guy that is into Dragon Ball Z. Watch the fuck out, Craig. So, have you ever like encountered like a guy in your life who like didn't have much of an identity one day and then you see them again like a week later and they have a whole new thing? Have you ever encountered that, Ray? Like through your life or like throughout high school or something?
No, but I've seen like I don't know. I guess like those type of people who be like really into like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that and stuff like that. But I don't know to this level. I don't even know what really is going on yet. So
This man is just deciding that he needs a personality and he's decided that Dragon Ball is it. I remember one time in high school, I think it was my sophomore year, we went on like winter break or whatever, and this like really nerdy kid who was nice enough, but like wore like sweatpants and t-shirts every day. He came back 2 weeks later and like these big ass goth boots and like black jeans and like a trench coat with chains. And he was wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt. And like listeners of the show know, Iron Maiden is my absolute favorite band of all time. So I asked him, I was like, yo, what's your favorite Iron Maiden album? And he was wearing an Aces High t-shirt. And he said, Aces High. And I was like, that's not an album. The
is that a
album is called
song?
Power Slave. Yeah, song off the album Power Slave. So I just like had that moment where I was like, I don't know what happened to you in the last 2 weeks over winter break. I won't say his name, but like it's fucking weird, and I'm mad that you've appropriated
Bro, Iron
my fucking
Maidens.
band, my favorite goddamn band. So like to read this article, like the same thought process I feel probably went through that kid's head of like, what can I do? There's a lot of Iron Maiden cards, clothes. There's even Iron Maiden video games, like going back to 1995. Uh, I don't know. That's what I thought of, but fuck you. Also, the kid's name is Colt Woodcock. Hilarious. Fucking
Was
hilarious.
it Colt 45 and a zigzag, sir? I don't know, man. Well, we not get into
Maybe
that.
that's all we need.
Oh
You
man.
know that time I hung out with Afro Man, right?
Mm.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Still, that's
Many
still
in the
an iconic moment.
100%. Yeah, I'll never forget that song as I live. Many in the psychological community maintain that having a healthy whole thing can increase a person's overall self esteem. I kind of agree with that as somebody who makes a Dragon Ball podcast and kind of makes that his whole podcast thing in terms of content that he makes. I feel like I have better self esteem because I make super dope. Also, sometimes lower self esteem. Quote, the benefits of having a whole solid vibe are immeasurable, said Faith Hawes, a psychologist that specializes in the studying of personalities. Whether it be a sports team, Batman, or some podcast you listen to, It's very important to one's identity to just completely dive into whatever you're into with both feet. Humans are complicated creatures and very often deceitful. We
Hmm.
spend so much time wondering about each other's motivations and true feelings that it can serve as a huge relief to meet someone and just know that, hey, this dude straight up loves Dragon Ball Z. Okay, I'll be real, right? I didn't read this article. I just saw the headline and knew that I would have to do it. Like, this is obviously a satirical article. It's not real, but um, I knew I'd have to read it. I did not understand or like fully grasp how much I'd relate to it because like I've met so many friends over the course of my life where like I'm kind of like about them maybe at first. Brandon is a great example. Old Super Dope people know who Brandon is. Early episodes of Super Dope. Maybe we'll get him back for one of these days, but he's kind of a cunt. When I met Brandon, I was like, this kid's fucking weird. I'm not sure if I fuck with him. 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 days later, after we first started hanging out and jamming in a band, he asked me about Dragon Ball, and we've been really good friends ever fucking since, to the point where like he came up with the name of this podcast. He was on so many of those first episodes. This paragraph speaks to that. When I meet somebody who likes Dragon Ball, I'm like, all right, at least we got that, dude. Like, thank God we got something. I could work with you now. You know what I mean? Dragon Ball is like my ground zero for people.
I don't think I've ever met someone that loves Dragon Ball. Well, I guess you, Kyle, but
I was gonna
other than
say,
that,
dude, do you not know me? What the hell, right?
no, the only person. Let me read the next one.
Go for it.
Damn, now I'm mad at a volunteer, but okay. Woodcock's social circle was reportedly bracing for his new persona. God, he's burning right through them, said Elliot Mathis, a friend of Woodcock's. Just 2 months ago, he sold his home brewing supplies to buy a bunch of equipment for his new YouTube show about professional wrestling action figures and said he was going all in on that. So I'm guessing there won't be any new episodes of the action figure for anytime soon. Huh.
Yo,
Not
that
surprised.
is that's fucking brutal, dude. So I'm thankfully not I do know one of my good friends, somebody who the audience knows, who I'm not gonna name, is somebody who does that. They go through very serious phases, like intense phases of like, I love this hobby. It's my thing. I'm gonna learn everything about it and buy a bunch of like top-notch equipment about it over the next, sometimes it's a few months, sometimes it's like a year, but the hobby always falls off. And he gets
Maybe it
really
just
good at
wasn't their
everything that he
thing, huh?
does. But like I sometimes wonder, it's like, what's going on here? Is it like you lose interest or whatever? Or is it like, are you searching for like your thing? Are you searching for your identity? Like my identity since the fucking, I don't know, fourth grade, seriously, when I started watching like import Dragon Ball tapes, and I was like, this shit is sick, and it's on Toonami, and I have the jump with all these Japanese Dragon Ball tapes that nobody else has. Like that was my thing, and I've stuck with that mostly throughout my life. I would say I dropped the Dragon Ball thing throughout my teenage years when I was playing in bars and in bands and trying to be
La, la, la,
normal and
la,
get laid
la.
or whatever. But I picked that shit up again in my early 20s again, and I've been a huge Dragon Ball fan for so much of my life. The idea of that being my identity is like never really been a possibility to separate myself from. But I guess for some people, man, like they go through like phases, you know. I'm not trying to say that's not bad, that it's bad or anything, but like I don't know. I just I absolutely fucking love Dragon Ball so much. Uh as of press time, Woodcock was performing a Google image search on Dragon Ball Z tattoos. Um I don't want to rip on people who that's the end of the article. I don't want to rip on people who get Dragon Ball tattoos because some people are like Reese has a bunch of crazy Dragon Ball tattoos. They're fucking awesome, dude. They're beautiful. I believe Joey Bauer, old school, super dope
I'm getting
listener. I
one.
don't. What are you getting, dude?
Kid Goku on the cloud
On the Nimbus. Cool. Where do you plan to get it? Like on your arm, on your leg,
on my shoulder.
like the shoulder blade?
Yeah, like right here.
That's cool. That's cool. Um, you know, for me personally, I've never really been into the idea of tattoos. I don't want to say it's a waste of money because like it's a piece of art and it stays on your skin forever. Like it's obviously not a waste of money, but like the money that I would put toward tattoos, if I cared enough to put it on my body to show it off to everybody. It's funny, man. My brother, uh, he's 19. He and I were having a conversation because he wants to get his first tattoo. We were talking the other day. He's like, "Why don't you have any tattoos? I'm surprised you don't have like any anime shit. No Dragon Ball stuff." I'm like, honestly, man, like I don't need to broadcast it to people that I like Dragon Ball. That's just me personally. I mean, also that comes from me wearing a Capsule Corp hat everywhere I fucking go. So I also low key broadcast it in different ways, you know. But to put it permanently on my skin for hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get like a nice piece of artwork done, I get people wanting to do it, but like also I'd rather take that hundreds of dollars and like go get bombed or go get high or go get drunk. Like I I spend my money in different ways than other people do recreationally speaking. Like my recreational dollars are not geared toward tattoos, that's for sure. I respect people who do get them, and some people get some amazing work. Some of the stuff Reese has, some of the stuff Joey has, stuff you see online all the time, like they're so fucking good. But like for me personally, not for me. Um, if I were to get something, it'd either be a Capsule Corp logo or a 4-star Dragon Ball, and that's pretty much it.
Okay,
Pretty
nothing
much it.
too big.
Exactly. Like I'd probably put it on like the inside of my forearm or something. I could fucking look at it myself. Nobody else really got to see it. You know what I mean? Because again, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be getting it for other. I feel like sometimes people get tattoos, and I'm not trying to say this about anybody we talked about, but like I feel like some people get tattoos to show them off. You know,
okay. I feel like this is
and
just for yourself, you know.
yeah, it wouldn't be to show them off because I'm not a show off kind of person. I'd rather people leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean? That's just me personally. But that was a fun article. Any closing thoughts on the first entry of the Super Dope reading series? As much of a fucking weird mess that it was.
Any closing thoughts? You know, I think the article you can tell was satirical or satire. I think that's the better word for it.
Whatever it
Whereas,
is, dude. I mean, the whole website is like that. It's like harddrive.net is where it came from.
but I
It's like
think
the
it's
hard
interesting.
times, like the onion.
I think it's an interesting idea that you're doing. It's showing more engagement into the whole Dragon Ball theme that you have going on over here. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're
And
talking about
I
me
love it.
personally as a podcaster. No, I was talking
Yeah.
about the article specifically.
Oh, the article.
I just
Oh,
think the article is interesting because, I mean, it was written like whatever, October of 2020, I believe it said. So a little over 2 years old. I
I
just
think
think that
the
it
person that the article's talking about is interesting to meet. I would love to meet them and
Colt
really
Woodcock.
know how much of Dragon Ball they actually know. Like the real gritty details.
I'd be willing to bet none. And
Because
that's
that to
basically
me,
the
it's
point of the
like it's
article.
really your personality, or you just like fanboying on for it. Like
No,
I
he's just
don't
looking
know.
to latch on to something. He's looking to identify with another group of people who he'd not really be able to interact with otherwise unless he had this in as Dragon Ball is. And you know, what's good about making Dragon Ball your whole thing is that Dragon Ball's been around for coming up on 40 fucking years. So there's clothing, there's video games, there's television, there's movies, there's all sorts of things you can immerse yourself in Dragon Ball. I just love the fact that this company, the Hard Times hard drive, I fucking forget what I said a minute ago. I just love that they acknowledge that Dragon Ball is this cultural touchstone throughout the goddamn world, and that there
Yeah.
are people out there who totally fucking do stuff like this. But also like you can't have those people out there unless you can acknowledge the larger impact or importance of the cultural or like the property, and the cultural impact it's had here in the West. So I just I don't know, when people tag me and shit like that, I'm like, ha ha ha, I get it, but I just appreciated that this article was like fun about it and also made some really fun points throughout. So that's the first entry of the Super Dope reading series.